X is about to go on, and I'm like, you know, I want to see. I got like
X is before you.
X is going before
yep.
me. And then he goes, and the fucking arena goes crazy. First of all, it's deafening, and I'm like, oh shit. He has a thing like a Alizé and Hennessy mix. It looks like blood. It's like he's drinking blood, right? And he's running back and forth. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Halfway through the show, then he takes his shirt off.
And all
the girls are screaming,
And the chain, the dog chain.
Yeah, the dog chain, and then he's going nuts, right? And I'm like, shit. First the guys are going crazy, now the girls are going crazy. And then he gets to the end, and he starts a prayer.
Oh my God.
And now they're crying.
Yeah.
The whole arena is crying. And I'm like, they're like, hey, now you go.
Growing up, when I grew up, born in '84, kid of the '90s, kid of the 2000s, I didn't realize that we were living in history. And I guess every generation has moments that are living in history, they don't realize it, but I didn't realize that 98 to 2004 will be one of the most iconic eras in the history of popular music, specifically rap, because there were so many things that went on that laid the foundation for music as we know it today. And one of those things is big rap tours. I know this is hard for some of y'all to believe now with all the festivals and rappers headlining Coachella and Bonnaroo and Lollapalooza and Rolling Loud. But at one time, rappers didn't really tour like that. If they did tour, they had a tour with a big R&B act, or they had a tour with a big rock act, or they had them go into smaller venues. But for rappers to have an arena tour was unheard of. That was before Jay-Z and DMX did what they did. In this clip right here, you saw Jay-Z talk about X and how it was going on tour with him, and Jay-Z was the closer, so he had to watch X's show and how crazy it was. I'm gonna break down the history of what happened with tours, what happened with this tour in particular that laid the foundation for all of us to this day to be able to make money as we rap our songs on stage. If you want to hear about that, watch the entire video. Before you do that, though, you need to make sure you hit like, hit share, comment, follow, subscribe, save, watch the entire video, because this is going to be a good one.
My ducks, my swans, welcome to the pond.
My name is Dorian from Group82University.com, and right here we got Jay-Z talking about the great DMX, rest in peace, my nigga, about how it was touring with him. What tour is Jay-Z talking about? I'm gonna get to that later on in this video, but I'm gonna just give y'all background. Rap, as hard as this might be to believe, had a very negative connotation. In the early 90s, rap was demonized and villainized at an extremely high level. I want y'all to do this. I want y'all to go Google a woman. Actually, two women. C. Dolores Tucker and Tipper Gore, and see what they were saying about rap and hip-hop in the early 90s. And then look at what happened to Calvin Brodus, but y'all know him as Mr. Snoop Doggy Dogg in the early 90s when he dropped his albums, and then he had a case put on him and what they were trying to do to him. Once Tupac and Biggie, at the apex of this negative rap connotation narrative, were assassinated, there was a calm. And people didn't know what to do next with hip-hop. All members at that time was Coolio's Gangsta Paradise. And I'm like, is this a direction rap is going? We about to be super poppy with these huge choir samples and all that. But what happened was you had these two artists from New York, Mr. Earl Simmons and Mr. Sean Carter. And they saw there was a void, and they dropped their music, and they filled it. And they both were signed to labels. They both were signed to Def Jam. And Def Jam did everything right to market both of them to get them to the point where they felt like they could do an arena tour. But nobody was trying to do any of that because rappers were known for violence and fights and artists not showing up or not showing up on time and costing people millions. NWA's first tour was well documented with violence and FBI threats. Snoop, Doggy Dogg, one of the biggest artists of the 90s, he never even had his own tour. So how do we expect Jay-Z and DMX to have their own tour? Well, they did. They called it the Hard Knock Life. It was those two, Method Man and Redman, and they were the first major rap arena tour. They went all over the country. They sold out every single venue. There was no fight. There was no issues. They were all getting along, all the entourages. There's classic footage of people freestyling behind the scenes with security guards out there. Let's run that clip.
Fuck what they all say. Niggas can't stop me with rumors. I'm strong all day. Socks loaded. Sweatpants boxes bulging. Holding it down on the corner of my block posing. My spot is on and drop the price of the coaching. Throw the competition out. Let the dough flow in.
There was a documentary that was made that showed the entire tour called Backstage, where we got to see that. You know, it was the first tour to sell really exclusive merch, rap tour. There was other tours that have done that, but as far as like a huge rap tour, they were the first ones to really have that for that many artists. And it was even 1 week after the Columbine shooting, which happened my freshman year. I'll never forget, April 20th, 1999. So that means April 27th, 1999, 1 week afterwards, all the proceeds from the show in Denver that happened to be a week after the shooting went to the school and went to the victims' families. You know, this was something that was huge for hip hop. This was something that was huge for music. We had this budding genre that had been around since 1973, became commercialized in the late 70s, early 80s, and it became hugely popularized in the early 90s. People didn't know if it could survive on its own, and rap showed, yeah, we can survive on our own. We have enough fans, they got enough money that want to see us, and they're going to support and not do anything crazy. This was a huge win, massive win. And anybody who is in this game, you in the rap game, you in the hip hop, you need to know this. You need to study this. You need to go watch the documentary. You need to appreciate what Jay-Z and DMX did for us. Because although at that time they didn't know they were making history, they were just doing what they needed to do to survive. If it wasn't for them, would none of us be here? One is gone. We can't give him his flowers anymore, but one is still here. That's why I be getting on y'all about talking about these people, man. You have no idea the stuff they had to go through for us to be able to do the things that we do right now. Something as simple as getting on stage and rapping your music probably wouldn't have been possible at the level that everybody is able to rap their music today, selling out Wembley, if it wasn't for Jay-Z and DMX. Earl Simmons, rest in peace. Sean Carter, civil rights leader, continue doing what you're doing, brother. I appreciate that. If you somebody is ready to market your music and get out to the masses, you on Instagram, click that link up top. You on YouTube, click that link in the box. You on YouTube, make sure you watch another video. You don't, I'm gonna whoop your ass. Out the pond. Y'all stay true. Scroll. 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 Group82University.com.